Hey guys, it's JJ. Welcome back to the Maui Surfers Dynasty, where we have just won a conference championship here in the Mountain West Conference. 41-38 over Colorado State. We did not make the playoff with that, but we did beat Liberty 54-17 in the New Mexico Bowl. So all in all, I would say a very successful season. And right off the bat, we're getting one more recruit here, Muhammad Kukas, out of New Jersey. He's a free safety. We get him on the team. But we're going to go through the offseason today, and that is going to start with awards, as always. 2026 Heisman Trophy goes to Christopher Vezina from Clemson. He's winning this Heisman here a bunch in CFB25. Obviously also wins Player of the Year, but we also had somebody on that list. Number 8 was George Smith with a very dominant receiving campaign this season. We're going to take a look at his numbers later, but I fully expect him to declare. Best head coach goes to Michigan's Marcus Thornton, but Davian Davenport, he makes it in here at number 7, and I think if we had won that one more game against New Mexico State, we would have, first of all, made the playoff, and second of all, we would have had a shot at this best head coach trophy. Now, best quarterback, nobody from our team is going to be on this list. It's Christopher Vezina here at the top, no surprise. Actually, Edward Hirsch made it in 12th. I forgot about that. But no matter. He's gonna graduate this season, so he is done with college. Best defensive player, we've got Jerry Davis in 2nd, which is a little bit disappointing, but was to be expected. It's actually higher than I thought it would be because Jerry Davis didn't quite have the season that I thought he was gonna have. But we did win Best Defensive Back of the Year, and I'm not surprised at all with that because Nick Candelaria absolutely killed it this season. He had 11 interceptions and well-deservedly wins this award here. Daniel Madrid in 4th, Jason Miller aus slot corner in 5th, and then we got the other safety at 9. Sergio Gonzalez doesn't make this list at all. Our number 1 corner who had a great season, he just didn't have much interception production because he doesn't get targeted, and that's fine with me. Best running back goes to Taylor Tatum out of Oklahoma. Will Whitehurst comes in 2nd, the true junior, who I also expect to declare. He's a great running back, and he didn't quite have the production that you want to see him get just because we run the air raid here. We're not running the football a lot, but running the air raid here does get us the best receiver in the country. George Smith makes it as number 1 on this list, and then at number 5 also Lavon Brown, somebody of note because we played against him in the conference championship game. He had a solid game there. Lombardi Award, best defensive lineman of the year. Jerry Davis is in 3rd. Oklahoma has the top guys up there. Adeba Awori wins it. And then the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award goes to Jackson Arnold out of Oklahoma because Vezina is not actually a senior. Probably still going to declare, but Edward Hirsch comes in 5th on that list. Best defensive end in the country is, again, Adeba Awori. I don't know. Goodspeed actually makes this list. But yeah, Jerry Davis, he didn't quite have the season to show that he's the most dominant edge rusher in the country. Best interior lineman goes to Justin Duncan, our center. That's good news and well deserved, I would say, because he had a great season. Best tight end goes to Devon Mitchell from Oklahoma, but Greg McHugh makes it in 3rd there. And then assistant coach of the year, none of our dudes makes it. And then best linebacker, we have Ralph Jones in 8th. Well, he was just like an average linebacker, run stuffing, a little bit of coverage, but nothing crazy from him, so no surprise that he did not make it up there in the top 5. Best center in the country, well, if he's the best interior lineman in the country, he's obviously also going to be the best center. Didn't crack the kickers list and did not crack the punters list. But best special teams returner, we've got Will Whitehurst in second. Our running back was also a solid returner. I think he did have a couple touchdowns as well this last season. Now for All-Americans on the national level, we actually have 3 on offense, which to me is kind of surprising. Greg McHugh makes it as tight end 1. I did not think that was going to happen, but if you look at the production, you will see why he did make this list here. Melvin Moreno and Justin Duncan are the left tackle and center. Both of them had pretty good seasons, and both of them are also declaring, so we're going to lose our 2 best O-linemen and 2 of the best players on the team. Now nobody makes it on defense for the National All-Americans first team. For the second team, we have Will Whitehurst as a running back and George Smith as a receiver. Now, I'm quite surprised that George Smith doesn't make it to the first team, honestly, because he had a dominant season, man. He led the country in receiving yards and touchdowns. So, don't know what's going on with that, but maybe he's lacking the rushing attempts. We don't run the football with receivers here. That is just straight up not worth it. Now the fact that Nick Candelaria also doesn't make this list is also a little bit surprising to me, but can't change anything about it. Thomas Goodrow, our kicker, makes it. He is a senior, so he's declaring. I hope he goes to the NFL, but I don't think kickers are getting drafted in this game. For the freshmen, we didn't actually have a lot of freshmen start on this team. None of our quarterbacks or running backs were starters were freshmen. We had 1 receiver, but he didn't even get like 300 yards on the season, I think. Nobody on the O-line apart from the right tackle. From the D-line, I think no, but actually Nate Goodspeed could have had a chance, maybe. No linebackers were freshmen, and then no corners and 1 safety, maybe. But yeah, overall, no freshmen starters, or very little freshman starters on this team. Now for the Mountain West Conference, we obviously got a lot more All-Americans. We won the conference, man, and we had a great season. Edward Hirsch is the quarterback of the year here, or the All-American running quarterback for the Mountain West Conference. Will Whitehurst as a running back, George Smith as a receiver, Greg McHugh as a tight end, Melvin Moreno and Justin Duncan make it as the O-line. Apparently I can't talk anymore. There's still an hour to get through here on this video. We do actually get an edge rusher here, defensive end Jerry Davis, who is a senior. He's also going to declare, hopefully, to make it to the NFL. He's good enough, definitely. And then we have defensive tackle that is a junior, and I expect him back. 82 overall, usually he's not good enough to declare early. And then Sergio Gonzalez, finally somebody recognizes him. He's a great corner, and he showed it last year. He was almost never targeted just because he was having so much blanket coverage. And then we have the kicker, the first team All-American kicker as well. And then on the second team, we can see Braden Fowler Nicolosi makes it, the Colorado State quarterback. He had a great season as well. Jovansky Schellenbaker, we faced him. He had a good season. I still remember, what's his name? Balin Brooks from San Diego State, the receiver. I remember this dude. And then we have our left guard make it as a second team All-American. He had a solid season, I'd say, Chad Kinsey. From the rest of the team, I remember Marshall Carrington for San Diego State, the defensive tackle. He was pretty good. And then I don't recognize any other of these names. But for freshman American, actually, we did have a receiver here, JJ Easy. He didn't have, I think he had 3, 4, maybe 500 yards this season. We'll take a look at the stats later, but he didn't have like a massive season. It's just for freshman receivers, well, usually they don't get a lot of targets, so. And then we had our right guard and right tackle make it, both freshmen, even though that right guard wasn't even the starter. He was not the starter. It was Wayne Brown, honestly. And then Nate Goodspeed, the edge rusher, he had a very good season for a freshman defensive end. And then both of our freshman tackles here, Kareem Cleveland and Alton Irvin, made it. We didn't have any linebackers, freshman linebackers play. All of our corners were seniors, and then we had one safety but they did not get nominated here. Now let's take a quick look at how the season went. We got blown out by NC State at the beginning of the season. Quickly recovered against Southern Miss. We had a blowout. We beat Stanford by 1 score. We had a blowout against Penn State. I do not know how we pulled that off. We had a blowout against Hawaii. We won against Oregon, which to me honestly was kind of shocking. We played Arizona State. That was a definite win. UNLV was a close game, and that was because I think I threw a couple picks, and then the rest of the season was pretty dominant until the last game of the year, where we lost to New Mexico State. That was pretty embarrassing. And then we won the conference championship game, and we won the bowl game against Liberty. Now, for the playoff, we did not make it. As you can see, the 1 through 12 seeds, all of them made it. And the only one that did not make it was number 13, and that was Maui. So we did not make it. And just a quick recap. Notre Dame wins in round 1, just as expected. Clemson wins a tough game against Washington. Georgia wins a blowout against Middle Tennessee. And then for some reason, Texas Tech lost to UCF. UCF also beat Ohio State when they moved on. Georgia won against USC, which was kind of surprising. Kansas State lost as the 1 seed to Clemson, and Oklahoma beat out Notre Dame. Notre Dame honestly kind of shocking as well. And then we have Oklahoma beating Clemson and Georgia beating UCF because UCF shouldn't have been there in the first place. And then in the final game, the Natty, Oklahoma wins it while they were actually down by the start of the fourth quarter, but they put up some more points and they did win it in the end. And this screen is just to show you that UCLA will be relegated. Now that we move up, UCLA moves down to the Mountain West Conference. And that's about it for results. Now let's take a look at the stats. We have Edward Hirsch. He had 5,000 yards. Jeez, 52 touchdowns, also pretty good. 9 interceptions, that's fine. We have Will Whitehurst with 850 yards, 10 touchdowns, solid season, no fumbles. That's all you can expect, 5.2 yards per carry. I'm fine with that. The other running backs were not quite as productive, but we'll move on here to receivers, as George Smith had 1,623 receiving yards, 21 touchdowns. That is a crazy good season, and I don't know why he was not put in put as an All-American first team. But yeah, Grant McHugh, I didn't even realize it. He had a 1,000-yard campaign. That's actually shocking to me. I did not know that he was going to have a 1,000-yard season, and he's hopefully coming back, man. But I do expect him to declare. Terry Carter had a great season, 926 yards and 9 touchdowns. And JJ Easy, he did have 608 yards and 5 scores. Did not know that. Roger Ramirez, 505 yards, 4 touchdowns. And then down the list, that's just a few running backs and the backup receiver or something. Not too important, but let's go over the defense real quick. We had Ralph Jones make 151 tackles this season. That's pretty crazy. 122 for Mangold, 115 for Madrid. That's both our safeties, and then our slot corner at 106. 4 tackles for loss. We have Jerry Davis, 24. That is 13 run stops for TFL. Kenneth Phelps, he had 12 run stops for TFL. Nate Goodspeed had 6. Ralph Jones had 11, and Kareem Cleveland had 5. Now let's go over to sacks. We have Jerry Davis at 10.5. I expected him in a 14-game calendar. Man, I expect him to get like 14 or 15 maybe, but it's good. Good speed, 9.5 sacks. If it goes up from there, man, we're going to have a dope edge rusher next year. And then Cleveland had 7 sacks as the best defensive tackle, which is to me honestly shocking. Phelps had 5, but this guy, Juan Moore, had only 1 sack the entire season. And he is defensive tackle number 1 on this team, or was. Probably not going to be anymore next year, but we'll see. Nick Candelaria, he had 11 interceptions. We had Daniel Madrid at 4 interceptions. That was a very good season for him as well. We had Jason Miller, the slot corner with 2 interceptions, Mangold with 2, Gonzalez with 2, and backup safety Manu Maliuna with 1 interception. Let's go to the forced fumbles real quick, as there was just a bunch of guys who had 1, but Daniel Madrid was one of them, and it came in the bowl game at a critical point. We had Sergio Gonzalez with 1, Mitch Hendricks, that's a backup safety, and Ralph Jones, and a backup edge rusher. Not too important. Now, nationally, the 5,240 passing yards for Edward Hirsch was actually leading the country by almost 500 yards. And he had 52 touchdowns, which was second in the country behind only Christopher Vezina. For receivers, George Smith led the country in receiving by more than 100 yards over Lavont Brown, the receiver from Colorado State, which that is crazy. And he had 21 touchdowns, which also led the country. George Smith with an absolutely dominant, epic junior season, and I'm sure he will declare. Nick Candelaria, he led not just the Mountain West Conference, but the entire country in interceptions this year. 11 interceptions. There was one guy in a different conference with 10 interceptions. I think it was the Big 12, but I'm not sure. Crazy season for Candelaria. Now let's go over the team stats real quick. Maui had the, just by sheer volume, 3rd best offense in the country. Best passing attack. I think that would still hold up if it was per game. 5,241 passing yards is absolutely crazy. For rushing yards, we are not quite up there. We run an air raid, and we are probably one of the worst teams in the country just by sheer volume. And that's the thing. I don't care. We run an air raid. So the only thing I care is if my running back has above 4 yards a carry, and Will Whitehurst had 5.2, so I think we're fine about that. Points per game, we led the country, 40.6, and that's not by volume, that's per game. So we were the best offense in the country, literally, over Georgia, over Clemson, those 2 high-scoring offenses, even over Oklahoma, who won the Natty. We had the 2nd most passing touchdowns in the country, 52. Only Clemson had more with Christopher Vezina. And then rushing touchdowns, we were actually toward the bottom of the list. We had, I think, 14. That's fine. I couldn't care less, I think. We're an air raid. We want to pass the ball. We want to force it down the field sometimes as well, get the deep touchdowns and stuff. So I'm fine with not having a great volume production from our running game. We had the most first downs in the country. Yeah, no surprise there. If you have the best offense, you're going to convert a lot of first downs. Now for the defense, this is always difficult to assess in my opinion, but we did have apparently the 2nd worst defense in the country just by sheer volume. Now if you make this number per game, I think we still have a bad defense. There is some teams here that did not play 14 games and still are down this list here, obviously, but it's still not going to be a great number. For the rushing defense, I don't know. If you're leading most of your games, your opponent is usually going to rush it a lot more than pass, but that's fine. Points allowed, 347. I don't know about that number. If you divide that by 14, I think you're somewhere in the 25 points per game range. That's still not good, but if you're putting up 40 every game, I don't see a problem. Sack numbers, we have the 3rd most sacks in the country. That's actually a decent number for 14 games. I think you could do worse. Fumbles, only 4 recovers in 14 games. That honestly is not enough, in my opinion. You should have more forced fumbles. At least fumbles recovered, I guess. But we did recover 4 of 5, so that's not even bad. It's just we didn't force enough for fumbles. Interceptions, we had 22, and it's all thanks to Nick Candelaria there that we're a top team in this stat. 3rd down offense looks great, 46%. That's pretty good to me. Could be 50, but with this passing offense, I mean, if you're passing it a lot, you're bound to get sacked and get into some long 3rd downs as well. So I think 46% is fine. For fourth down percentage, I think we're actually one of the better teams in the country. 68%, that's pretty good. Could be worse, could be better. And I'm fine with 68%, honestly. And we went for it a bunch. You got to be aggressive, especially if you're in tight games and you need to finish that extra possession to get an extra field goal, maybe an extra touchdown. That's important. Red zone efficiency. This is actually something that we were not great at. This is honestly horrible. We only converted 39 of our 87 offensive attempts into a touchdown. That's not even half. That is awful. And even if you count in the field goal, is 49 out of 87. That's still barely over 50%. And I want to see like 70 to 80% on that. So we need to definitely work on that one, man. And then for the red zone defense, we also have 44%. So if it's awful for our offense, obviously that means it's great for our defense. 26 out of 58. I think that's fine. I can live with that. If you count in the field goals, then you're 36 of 58. That's still 22 possessions where the opponent didn't end up getting any points at all. So that's fine with me. Turnovers, we had a plus 16. That's one of the best differentials in the country, and that's great. But it relies heavily on the 11 interceptions from Nick Candelaria. So takeaways is just something that we need to do better. We can't rely on one corner to get them all. But speaking of that one corner, he has a new Maui Surfers career record, 18 interceptions in his career. I don't think this number is gonna get touched anytime soon. He leads he has now a school record for that. Conference record for passing yardage goes to Edward Hirsch, 5,240 yards, which also means he owns the same record for the school. Same thing goes for his passing touchdowns, 52. That's now a record for the Mountain West Conference and also for the school itself. And then we have a season record as well for Candelaria in 11 interceptions in the Mountain West Conference. That's a new record, which also obviously goes for the school. And here we are at leaving. Players are leaving. We have two guys declaring early. George Smith. That was no surprise. He's a 94 overall. Obviously, he's going to declare, and I'm not going to stop him. Now, we have a senior center here in Justin Duncan, the second best player on the team. He is going to go to the NFL. Will Whitehurst also declares early, and I am not going to persuade him because running backs declare early all the time, and it just makes sense. So we're not going to keep running backs around. That's just not happening. Jerry Davis, projected first rounder. Sergio Gonzalez, projected second rounder. Melvin Moreno, projected second rounder. So we have 6 players projected first and second round. Then we have a kicker that's not projected at all. We have a guard, 86 overall, not projected at all. I hope they still get drafted. Candelaria, 83 overall, probably not going to be enough, even though I would definitely draft him with that ball production in college. Edward Hirsch, he's going to graduate, so we're going to miss our quarterback. We got Roger Ramirez, a slot receiver. He's going to graduate, our number 3 receiver this season. We're going to miss him. We got a couple linebackers. That's not too important. We are going to have our slot corner graduate, a backup tight end, and yet another linebacker. So we're going to take a look at the numbers for a few of these guys. So we're going to have our quarterback graduate. It's Edward Hirsch, and he was a solid quarterback with very decent accuracies. Like, everything's in the high 80s. That's very solid. 92 throw power. But he has next to no mobility. The arm talent's not great. Overall, like, he finished with almost 10,000 passing yards in college, and he only started 2 seasons. He had, 89 passing touchdowns and 16 interceptions over his collegiate career. That's great. He had never touched 60% completion percentage, and that's a knock on him. He's not the most accurate quarterback, even though his accuracy ratings look pretty good. We're also going to have Will Whitehurst declare for the NFL, and he's going to go. I already said I will not pursue him. I will never pursue any running back that declares early, because this happens all the time, and running back careers are just shorter. So you want them in the NFL as soon as possible so they can get the max money out of it. Whitehurst had in total, I think that's about 16 to 1700 rushing yards. He was always above 4 yards a carry. He had a 10 touchdown season last season. That was pretty solid. I forgot to include his receiving numbers when recording all this, but it's not too much, so that's fine. George Smith, he is gonna declare early. He's a first-round pick, and deservedly so. He had a great season. He was the number 2 receiver last year when we had Lloyd Morgan, and he was now the number 1 receiver this year after Morgan declared early as well. And George Smith in his career had about 2,500 receiving yards and 30 touchdowns with a average of about 15 to 16 yards per catch. That is ridiculous. Melvin Moreno, he's our left tackle, so we're gonna miss him as well. Moreno is a very good pass protector. His pass block ratings are crazy good. His run blocking is not bad either. It's just not as good as his pass protection. Moreno is, I'd say, the ideal blindside tackle. He did allow 4 sacks this year, but that's usually not because he was a bad tackle, but rather because I tend to drop too deep into the pocket, and then it's very easy for edge rushers to get around the tackles. So wouldn't give too much importance to these sack numbers here. And we're also gonna lose our left guards. A very solid dude as well, very good pass protector as well. Not quite as good as our left tackle. We're gonna lose our guard here, who was a very solid all-around player. I'm assuming, even though he was not projected to be drafted, I'm assuming he's probably gonna be like a 7th round pick or a 6th round. He had a great season, only allowed 1 sack. That's very good numbers. And then we're gonna have also our center declare. So the complete left side and the center of our O-line are going to be new. We're going to lose a quarterback and the running back and 2 receivers actually towards graduation and declaring. So our offense is going to look completely new, and this one is the one that hurts the most because Duncan is one of the best players in the entire country, and he did not allow a single sack last year. He is great. I hope we can find a replacement that's like 50% of him, and that's really good. We're also going to lose an edge rusher, Jerry Davis. I do not see anybody on the entire D-line that's going to be able to replace his skill set. He is a great pass rusher, but also a very solid run stopper with great athleticism. And Jerry Davis, he played 3 years, and over that time he improved his sack total every year, and he finishes his career with 27 sacks, no interceptions, only 1 forced fumble. So he was not the turnover machine, but he was very consistent in pressuring quarterbacks. At middle linebacker, we're gonna lose our number 1 guy in the middle, but that's fine. We actually have 2 4-stars ready to replace him, and I think we're gonna be better off actually at linebacker next year. Ralph Jones is a decent run stopper, not crazy good in coverage, an average athlete. Just gonna go over his number quickly. He played only 1 season, he started 1 season, 151 tackles and 3 sacks, along with 14 TFLs, no picks, and 1 forced fumble. That's fine. We're gonna go ahead to our number 1 corner last year, Sergio Gonzalez. He's played great. He was locked down. He's a great man cover corner, but he's also very good in zone. He is not quite the hands, but he has the blanket coverage physical ability, and you could see it on the field. And he has 95 speed, so whenever he does mess up, he has a lot of athleticism to make up for it. And while he never had elite ball production, his Tackle numbers are very solid for an outside corner. He was very reliable in that regard. He finishes his career with 4 interceptions and 1.5 sacks, and I think also a forced fumble. Candelaria. This is his goodbye as well. He's a senior. He was our number 2 corner last year. Very good in man coverage. The hands are just crazy good. He has the interception ability, and it showed. He had 11 interceptions. He had 2 interceptions alone in that bowl game. He finishes his career with almost 300 total tackles. That's 16 TFLs, 2.5 sacks, 18 interceptions, and 1 forced fumble. Very good outside corner, and yeah, probably not going to get drafted, but that's fine. We have Jason Miller also graduating. He's also a senior. He was our slot corner for the last couple seasons, and he never got quite to his skill caps, which is a little bit disappointing. He was not the best athlete, but he was very skilled in zone and man coverage. He just didn't really have the athleticism to play on the outside. Miller started for 2 years. He had 141 tackles, 6 TFLs, 2.5 sacks, 3 interceptions, and 1 forced fumble, 1 recovered fumble. Solid season, but I think he was the weakness in our secondary last year, if we had a weakness. And then we have Thomas Goodrow, our kicker. He's also graduating. He was a great dude. He has a couple abilities that's very important. This last year, I had a couple of long field goal attempts that didn't go my way, but of the short stuff this year, he made 4 out of 4 under 29, 6 out of 6 under 39, and I can't see the rest of the numbers, but underneath stuff was fine. The missed field goals, I think, were all of them 50 plus or at least 45 plus. Now this is the draft results, and Smith, Duncan, and Davis are first rounders. Whitehurst, Moreno, and Gonzalez are second rounders, and just like I would have imagined, Kinsey gets in or sneaks in to the seventh round there. Chad Kinsey. So 7 drafted players this year. That's a good mark. Now we're gonna go on. Here we have our last recruit for this year, Avery Rooks, and he's a kicker. We just lost a kicker. Makes sense. Now we're gonna get to the off season, to the real off season, and we're gonna start off with national. Hang on, that's National Signing Day, because I didn't go after anybody in the transfer portal. So this is already National Signing Day. There is just nobody in the transfer portal I'm interested in. And Lutui, he is going to have a great future. He has star dev. Kenyon Talbot, this receiver, has also star dev. We have Izu Kanma and Stromberg, one of which is going to have elite dev here. Stromberg looking ridiculous. Our tackle has star, our guard has star, and we also recruited 2 4-star centers, one of which is only normal, but the other one is star. We have an edge rusher, we have a defensive tackle here, Vermilio with star, that's an edge rusher, and Schluger, the defensive tackle, both of them have star. We have a 5-star linebacker with impact. That was a little bit disappointing. Morton is recruited as a safety, but he will be a linebacker. And then we missed out on Kevin Iglesias. I would have loved this kid on the team. But we do get a 5-star corner, and he has star dev, so that's great news. We have another corner, and he has elite dev, Jay Parham. He is going to be fantastic. And then a couple of 3-star safeties there, and a kicker with impact dev. Now, National Signing Day is over, and I actually forgot to record the top classes. I do not know how high we were up there, but I think we did get a top 10 recruiting class last year. Now, we're going to be at position changes here, and I'm going to move Sony Bandy, the tight end, to receiver, and then for training, and then get him back to tight end after training. And the same thing is also going to happen with Manuel Kamea, because he was already almost maxed out except for 2 skill caps. So we're going to also put this dude at receiver. But there is, as we can see, actually maybe an opportunity for him to play on the defensive side of the football. For now, I'm going to try receiver. Let's see how much he develops. But this is training results. And for some reason, out of nowhere, this Benjamin Phillips dude, he jumps up there, 87 overall. I do not know where this came from, because I expected Abdul Rubin to make the big jump, and he did not. He is only a 78 overall, which is a +1 compared to the offseason, or compared to last year. Jamil Morris, he stays the same overall, but we have two running backs that developed a little bit. I think both of them were like 73, 74 overalls, and now they're 79 and 78. So Mapanga and Drango definitely going to play this year. Gerard Wentz did also make a little jump, but he's a sophomore, and there is already two freshmen ahead of him. At wide receiver, a big jump for Terry Carter. He was our last year's number 2 receiver. He had a solid season, 900 and something receiving yards. We're going to have a redshirt freshman completely starting from 0 as our number 2 receiver. We have JJ Easy. He did sadly not make the big jump that I hoped for, but Abiyamiri did make a pretty big jump. And then Johnny Feely also made a pretty good jump. Christian Darnold, he maxed out his skill caps. He's not going to develop a whole lot more from here, so don't know what to do with him. But for tight ends, this is actually shocking. First of all, it's shocking that this dude is still on the team. I thought this dude was going to graduate or declare early for sure, but he stayed on the team, and now he's the best player on the team by overall. 97 overall, that is ridiculous. He's going to get the ball, definitely. And he had a 1,000-yard campaign last year, so imagine what he'll be able to do this year. We also have a solid jump here for Deshaun Butts, who's going to take over from Moreno. So at left tackle, we definitely have a downgrade. At left guard, we also going to have a downgrade, and a big one at that, because Craig Spriggs did actually not make any jump at all. And I'm going to have somebody else line up there. You will see in a second. We'll talk about this when we go over the entire roster. But we do have a good replacement at center, Kentrell Polgian. He is an 88 overall, and he was like a 77 last year. So that's like a +11. He had a massive jump. And I'm very happy about that, because that dude cannot declare early. He's going to be our center for at least 2 years from now on. And then we have Wayne Brown at right guard. Also, out of nowhere, he had a +14 or something. Caraway, +8. Both of those dudes looking pretty solid. And then Carl Lamb, also very solid jump to 85 overall. And then even this guy, Sam Office, looks pretty good. Looks pretty good to me, that guard spot right now. And then at right tackle, Frank Banks, he started last year. He had like a +1 overall. That's not big, but he was the starter last year. I think he's going to be solid this year again. And then let's go to the defense. Nate Goodspeed is now an 85 overall. So he did have a good leap. I think that's a +8 overall for him. So at least we have a little bit of replacement there. But definitely at edge rusher, we're taking a hit here. Downgrade from Jerry Davis. The other edge rush spot doesn't look as good. I thought that maybe Cherry had something to say about that, but he didn't develop a whole lot. At defensive tackle, Juan Moore makes the big jump, and he had a pretty mediocre season last year. Kenneth Phelps, not much there. Kareem Cleveland, I think that's like a +2. Alton Irvin, maybe like a +1, +2. But Emilio School, I thought he was going to have the big offseason, and he did not. 77 overall. We'll see. At left outside linebacker, Quincy Muamba, +4 overall, I think. So good offseason dev for him, but nobody else showing up. But this is the big one. Afa Gash, the linebacker from Hawaii. He is now an 87 overall. This is big for us. And then Stanley Ferris, his backup, also makes a big jump. Cameron Avant, only +3. I thought he was going to do better, but we're going to have to live with it for now. At cornerback, we're going to have 3 new starters, all 3 of those guys, because we just graduated our 3 corners. And Mohammed Hook, he had the big jump. Taylor Ector, +3. Henry Officer, I think only +2. So Mohammed Hook definitely looking like the number 1 corner on this team. And then for the safeties, no dev at all for Mangold or Hendricks. I think Hendricks made like a +2 maybe, but not much. And then on the other side, Madrid, no overall jump. Manu Maliuna, no overall jump. Heflin, he was the big winner, but he's still not going to see the field because Madrid is still the better safety. And then at kicker, We still have a guy that's gonna be kicking, and then at punter, this dude, I think he was maxed out last year already, so not gonna win much. But Luis Hand, he's gonna take over once Brown is gonna be out. Now, this is cut time. We have 5 players to cut. I did try to recruit not too many players, but Terry McKinnon here, sadly he's maxed out, and he's never gonna be a starter. Just because I already know that Lutui, he's a better prospect as a true freshman right now, and he's going to have an offseason boost next year, and he's a start F player, you know. And then Jarrod Wentz at running back, 68 overall. He's just not the athlete. I don't think he's ever going to see the field seriously as like a feature back or even in a committee. And then we're also going to cut a guard that didn't make a big jump. He's not a crazy good athlete, and I already have better players than him who are not older. And then we're gonna cut a tackle, Siaki Tomoipiao. It's sad to see him go, but you can already see that he's never gonna get any better anymore because he has maxed out his skill caps. So he's already done developing. And then we're gonna cut a center, that's a junior. We have Kentrell Pollian, who's far better than him, and he's a freshman. So definitely makes sense to cut that center there. And now we're going to go over the entire roster, talk about everybody's roles. Now, Benjamin Phillips, he's going to take over, and his short and medium accuracies are great, but his deep, I think, is a little bit of a downgrade, so we'll see. But he has a better arm than Edward Hirsch, definitely. He has the better arm. He does not have any mobility. So I don't know if our offense is going to be as good as last year, just because we don't have the great O-line that we did last year. I also want to talk about Salesi Lutui. He is our 4-star recruit from this season. 6'5", 220 with 95 throw power, which right off the bat is crazy good, but he can still get it better, you know? And then his accuracies, the caps are not great. I'm not sure that he's ever going to be a very accurate passing quarterback, but what he lacks in accuracy, he has in speed, and he can get even faster. He also has some good elusive traits, so this kid is gonna run a lot. Now, I thought that Abdul Rubin was gonna be our starter this year, and he didn't develop, and now he's falling behind our true freshman, actually, because he didn't have the big offseason boost. But Rubin has a great arm, and he does not have the accuracy cap, so I think just over time, Rubin is still going to be a starter at some point, just because I think his accuracies are going to be better. He does have a little bit of mobility as well, but that's the quarterback room. At running back, I'm actually kind of shocked that Morris did decide to stay because he had a deal breaker, and that was a D last year. So I thought he was going to transfer for sure, but I'm happy to keep him around. He looks pretty solid. He's a good pass catcher. He can juke out some people. He has a solid spin move. And the power is not quite there, obviously, but he's a decent athlete. I think he's a good relief back when we're done throwing. Now, the number 2 back on this team is going to be Quinton Drango, 5'10", 200 pounds, former 4-star. He was a bust label, but I still recruited him because I think he still has some tools. And he's a solid elusive back who can catch the football a little bit. He has a little bit of route running ability. He could also play receiver, I think. And he is our best power option, so he's definitely gonna see the field, and he's a decent athlete. He's an even better athlete than Morris. Now we also have Steven Hendricks, 4-star running back, recruited last year. He's gonna be redshirted. His elusiveness is almost maxed out. That's very sad to see to me, but he will be a very decent running back with more than enough speed. I'm very happy to see him play. Hopefully next year after he had a great offseason boost. But that speed is going to be visible on the field. 93 speed, 92 excel. Now our top rate receiver is Terry Carter. He was the number 3 receiver when we were playing with Lloyd Morgan and George Smith. Now he was the number 2 receiver last year because George Smith was the one. Now he declares, now Carter is the number 1 receiver. So this is how it goes. He developed, he made the big jump. He's a crazy good route runner, elite. He has 99 route runnings. He has crazy good catching ratings and 96 speed. This is going to be visible on the field. We're going to throw it down the field a lot. Sergio Wiggins, 6'1", 173, former 4-star recruit. He had his first offseason boost this offseason. He's good at evading tacklers. He's a solid route runner. That 91 medium route running is definitely going to be coming in handy. And he has solid hands, but not great hands. So this dude is going to go to the slots because he doesn't quite have the release package that I want to see on the outside. And this kid has 95 speed, so we're definitely going to run some slot fades as well. And then the actual number 2 outside receiver is going to be JJ Easy. A 6'2 guy, you know, your typical possession guy, but look at the release. He has 95 release, 88 short route running. He's the perimeter guy, and he will do a great job. He did a good job last year. He had actually 600 receiving yards as a number 4 receiver, mind you. And 91 speed, 88 excel is not too exciting, but he can still get a little bit better, and I hope he does the work. Now our number 4 receiver is going to be Kasim Abayamiri. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but he did have a good offseason boost. He's a decent route runner, but also on him, the release, not quite there. He has very good hands. He has a lot of elusiveness, and he has the athleticism. 98 speed, 95 acceleration. If Sergio Wiggins doesn't pan out, this dude's up. Kasim Abayamiri, look out for this dude. Now, we also did recruit 2 4-star receivers last year, who are going to be redshirted this year. Miguel Maldonado, 5'10", 169, very small, very slender dude, but he already looks pretty good right off the get-go. Very good elusive dude. The route runnings are almost maxed out, and that's not great. And the hands already almost maxed out as well. His caps are very frustrating to me, but I can't do anything about it. The other dude is Kenyon Talbot, 6'2", 176, out of Oregon. And Talbot, I think he's going to be the better guy between him and Maldonado, but they're not up for the same role, so we'll see. Talbot is more of an outside release receiver. His release needs a little work, though. And that 74 catching is not great either. And his hands cap is pretty bad as well. 92 speed, 90 XL, that's just average. So I don't think the receivers are quite as good as I thought they'd be. Now the tight end, yeah, I mean, dude, this dude's gonna be fed. 6'2", 232 with great blocking ratings. Actually, very good blocker, but his catching ability, he's gonna be elite. He has 96 short route running as a tight end. Even 80 would be very good as a tight end, but he has 96. This dude is gonna kill it. 85 speed, 85 excel, not gonna hurt either. Now we also did recruit 2 tight ends last year, 4-star tight ends, mind you, that are gonna be sitting out this year. They're gonna be redshirted because we usually only have one tight end on the field, and as long as McHugh not getting hurt, this dude's not gonna see the field. But I am so excited about DJ Stromberg. He looks crazy good. He's fast. He can get even faster. He has good hands and good route running right off the bat. And it can get even better, you know. And then the other one is Hakeem Ezukanma out of North Carolina. Also a 4-star player, but he's a blocking archetype, so he's not going to be quite as fast. He's I don't think he's ever going to be a real starter, but we'll see. As long as Stromberg is on this team, he's definitely going to be the starter just because of his speed and receiving upside. But Ezukanma as a blocker, 78 speed, I don't even think that's bad. That's solid. Now at tackle, we have Deshaun Butts, and this is definitely going to be a downgrade from Melvin Moreno. About 11 points of overall deficit, but I'm confident that Butts will be a solid tackle, not gonna be a good one. And that's just because his pass blocking, it's lagging behind. 74 pass block, 70 pass block power. He is gonna take some losses, I think. But the guy that's up next year, I hope that Gregory Crouch makes a big jump in the offseason. 6'7", 295. The ideal tackle prospect. Already, all the pass block ratings in the 80s. It's just his run blocking is so abysmal. We don't run block much, but it's just so abysmal we can't play it right now. And also, he has only 77 strength, so he needs to work on something. I would love to play him with those pass block ratings, but the run block is just abysmal. And then at left guard, we're going to have Donovan Caraway, who is an 85 overall. It's just when you switch around the positions after off-season training, the computer gets kind of confused. But if you look at his ratings across the board, you'll realize this dude is going to be a very fine option. I think he's going to give us about the same play that we had with Chad Kinsey last year. So left guard, I think, is not going to be a weakness. But we have a 4-star player to be coming up after him, Demarius Sturgis. And yeah, as you can see, great caps, but he's not quite ready. As a starter, you can't play him right now. The run blocking is not great. The athleticism is great, but his pass blocking ability is just not up there. So he needs to develop that first. Now at center, I don't think we're going to take much of a downgrade. Kentrell Polgian, he is going to be great. 6'2", 304 out of Los Angeles. He's a 4-star recruit, I think the only one that we had in that year, and he's looking great. Very sharp. The pass blocking needs to get a little bit better, but he is ready to step in and play. It is going to be a little bit of a downgrade here from Justin Duncan, because just Duncan was so good. He was a 95 overall, so you have to have a little downgrade there, but that's not going to be my main word. We also have a 4-star center from last year, out of Hawaii, actually, Brian Cisco, who looks pretty sharp. As a true freshman, he's going to be redshirted. The pass protection is just not there at the moment. And also, we have a center at 88 overall. Why would we play Brian Cisco? That doesn't make any sense. But I think in a couple of years, he's going to be ready to step up after Polgian declares. And then at right guard, man, this dude came out of nowhere. Wayne Brown, 6'4", 326, former 2-star. He's a great pass protection guard now, and we have pretty good run blocking ratings as well. So there is actually nothing lacking on this guy, and he could get even better, man. He looks great. Run blocking looks great as well. So the interior of our O-line, I am not worried about the interior at all. Now, we do have a right guard here as a backup that's going to have to step up next year. He looks great for a true freshman, but there is some weaknesses in his game. The run blocking has a big weakness there at the run block power, and the same is true also for pass blocking, but also the pass block rating itself needs to get a lot better, and his caps are actually not great. So I don't know if this dude's ever going to be a real good starter. At right tackle, we're not going to take a loss. We're actually going to take a gain because Frank Banks got a little bit better in the offseason. Got a little bit of the development, or the physical abilities developed. He's a solid pass protector, which is not going to get better, sadly. But I think he's going to do a fine job. He's just never going to be a great tackle, just because of his caps. Now, we're done with the offense. Let's get to the defense. We lost Jerry Davis. We're not going to be able to replace him. The defensive line is going to have a downgrade, or at least the defensive ends. Nate Goodspeed is the next guy up. 85 power moves, looks good. He's solid enough as a run stopper. 76 finesse moves, that's fine. He's a decent athlete. Nothing to talk about him, but he's gonna be solid, just like last year. He's gonna be even better. Chad Grubb, a 4-star recruit from last year. He's gonna be redshirted. Even though his ratings do look pretty solid to start, he's not good enough to beat one of the other defensive ends, and he needs to get some polish for his power moves and finesse moves. At right end, we have Nate Cherry. He is going to be the starter in base personnel. He's a great run stopper with 88 block shedding. So against the run, I think we're set with Cherry and Goodspeed. But Cherry is not a great pass rusher. 73 power moves and 47 finesse moves. That is abysmal. He's a decent athlete, and he's going to be good against the run, but against the pass, there is just no reason to play him. Enrique Vermilio is a edge rusher that is going to be redshirted this year. He has great caps. He's pretty solid right off the bat, honestly. It's just block shedding at 69 is a little bit too low, and his power moves, like if he had power moves like 88 or something, I'd consider it, but not like this. And then I think I forgot to cut in the guy that's actually going to start in nickel. Name's Stokely. He's a decent pass rusher, but nothing spectacular. For defensive tackle, we actually have an upgrade here on one more. So we didn't lose a defensive tackle in the offseason. So we're going to be better at defensive tackle. So I hope we can offset the loss of Jerry Davis there. But one more is going to be a pass rusher. His run stopping is up there as well. I think he should have a good shot at getting a lot of playing time. Kenneth Phelps, he is 85 power moves with 82 finesse moves. So right off the bat, a good pass rusher. The run stopping is lagging a little bit behind. It's actually, no, it's not. I don't know why I remember that. I thought it was worse than that, but he's definitely also going to see the field a lot. One more, by the way, the first one that I showed, he's not going to be starting in nickel because Kareem Cleveland is actually a better pass rusher than him. If I remember that correctly, at least. I might be getting confused here a little bit, but those three defensive tackles here, all of them are going to play a good amount of snaps this season. And the guy that's kind of losing out, this is Emilio School. He's a run stopper, but he only has 77 block shedding, so that's not great. He has good strength, but he's not a pass rusher at all. Like, he can't pass rush at all, and he has only 77 block shedding, so I don't know where to put him. If he had had a better offseason, he might have gotten some playing time, but not like this. Bruce Schluger is a defensive tackle. I recruited him as an end, but he's a defensive tackle for us, a former 4-star. He's going to be a redshirt this year. His pass rushing upside is very much limited. His run stopping as well. His caps are not great, but if he does have a good offseason jump next year, maybe he has a shot. For linebackers, we have Quincy Mwamba, who is going to play in base personnel. 6'2", 244. The block shedding's not great, but he's at least a very reliable tackler. And the pass coverage is actually pretty bad, which is why he's not going to play in nickel. But he's a great athlete. Afa Gash, he is going to play 100% of snaps. Hopefully 6 foot, 238 out of Hawaii. A 4-star recruit that got a big offseason boost. He's solid in coverage. 83 is nothing like... It's not crazy good, but it's good enough to pass. And he's going to be a lot better than Ralph Jones. I can tell you that right now, man. The run stopping, 63 block shedding, that's not crazy good. But at least he has a lot of speed, so hopefully he can just evade the offensive linemen altogether just by being faster. Now, Stanley Ferris, he's going to be a backup linebacker with ability to maybe get a few snaps in nickel because he does actually look like a pretty solid pass coverage linebacker. That 82 of his zone coverage looks pretty solid to me. And he's also a very good athlete. Jarek Westbrook is a 5-star recruit that I got last season. 6'3", 232, massive dude with already very good run stopping ability right off the bat. I think right off the bat, he's a better run stopper than anybody on the team in the linebacking room. But his coverage is just not holding up at the moment. So I'm going to hold him off. He's going to be redshirted. He's not going to play this year. Instead, we're going to play Cameron Avant. He's going to be out there in base personnel, definitely. 6'4", 249. He's even bigger. Out of California. And he's very solid as a run stopper. Almost as good as Westbrook, honestly. His coverage ability, 72 and 73. It's decent, but nothing crazy. So we're going to have a nice competition there at linebacker. And then at corner, our number one dude is going to be Muhammad Hook. And Hook is a crazy good man cover corner. His zone ability is not quite as good. 71 zone coverage is actually pretty bad. And if I had any other corners, I probably would hold him off the field. But at least this dude has 97 speed. So he's going to play, but we're going to have a downgrade at corner, definitely. Our number 2 guy on the outside is going to be Henry Officer. He's a little bit small for an outside corner, but he's very solid in press and man. His zone coverage is actually a little bit better developed. That 79 is decent. 79 play rec is also solid. He's a decent athlete. 94 speed, 90 excel. So I'm going to be confident in Officer as the number 2 guy. And then in the slot, it's going to be Tyler Hector. 6 foot, 186 with a 4-star rating when he came out of college. He didn't have a lot of offseason boosts, sadly, but he is solid in man coverage. He's actually the best tackler out of these 3 corners. The zone coverage is actually abysmal, but he's a very good athlete, and I love his caps. He's going to be a monster. Just not this year, I guess. Hopefully next year. Now, I also did recruit a couple corners last year, obviously. A 5-star here in Jamie Ham. 6'2", 198 out of Long Beach, California. And Ham is already a great man cover corner, but that zone coverage is pretty bad, and he's just not offering any upside over the other corners. He's not a better athlete than Hook. He's not better in zone than Officer, and he's not better at tackling than Hector. So he's going to be redshirted. Jay Parham is the other one, a 4-star out of Anaheim, California. He's also a man-to-man cover corner. Good in man and press, not as good as Ham, but still very solid. Doesn't really have great hands. 63 zone coverage is actually pretty abysmal. So he also offers no upside at the moment. Decent athlete, but those 2 are going to be redshirted. If we have an injury, I'm going to play Ham, but if we don't have an injury, our 3 corners are set. Hussein Mangold, just like last year, he's going to start at free safety. He's very good at awareness and play rec. He's very good in zone coverage, very bad in man coverage. Mangold is decent in run support. That 68 tackling makes me a little bit nervous, but he wasn't great at that last season either. 90 speed, 91 excel, that's solid. Mitch Hendricks is your dime corner. He's gonna play the slot, or the dime, I guess. In dime, he's gonna be the backup if something happens to Tyler Hector. And Hendricks is sadly not developing at all like I hoped. He was our first 4-star commit. His coverage is very solid. He has decent run support, but he has not quite done the development that I thought he was gonna do. So he's just gonna be a dime corner, maybe play some backup safety. He might be a solid linebacking option as well. Daniel Madrid, he's going to be the starting strong safety. He played that role last year. I thought he was solid. He's not a great athlete, which is something that we were able to see on the deep balls. 77 zone coverage and good man, even better man coverage. That's pretty solid. He's a good run stopper. The speed is just not there on him, but he did have a solid year last year, and I'm happy to play him. At kicker, we have David Howerton, 6'2", 218. He's going to be the replacement. We had 2 kickers on the roster this entire time, and now that Goodrow is gone, he's going to take over for maybe 1 year, maybe 2 years. We'll see. He has good kick power, solid kick accuracy, nothing to complain about from there. And then we have our punter, just like last year, Clement Brown. His senior season is going to be his last year starting. 94 kick power, 89 kick accuracy, and we have his replacement already on the team. Nothing's going to change about that. And I think that's it. Overall, I'd say we're probably about the same level of team that we were last year. We're going to take a quick look at the schedule right now. I did move us up to the Pac-12. UCLA went down. We're going to start out with Washington. Then we're going to play 3 non-conference games: Buffalo, San Diego State, and San Jose State. Buffalo was a randomly picked team, and the other 2 are rivalries from us. So I want to play those 2 teams. We have Oregon State, Utah, Oregon, who we beat last year, California, Stanford, also beat them last year, USC, Arizona. I think we played them in the bowl. I forgot the result. I don't think we won it against Arizona, but we finished the game, or the season, against Hawaii, which is a rivalry game. I'm very excited about that. And just now we're going to go take a quick look at the preseason All-Americans. We do not have anybody on the national level, but on the Pac-12 level, we're going to have Terry Carter in here as a receiver. that's exciting. We have our right guard, Wayne Brown, where we have a massive upgrade now because he also played last year, but he went up in like plus 12 or something in overall, man. Massive jump for him. We have nobody on the D-line, no linebackers, and no safeties, no corners, no surprises. I'm actually a little bit surprised, honestly. Afa Gash could have been on this list. He has had a massive jump in overall this offseason, but doesn't make this list, so have to deal with that. Preseason second team, it's going to be Greg McHugh, which is ridiculous because he's a 97 overall. How on earth is a 97 overall not on the preseason first team? Are you kidding? Jeez, dude. Greg McHugh. Then we've got our center, Kentrell Poljan. He is going to be starting here at preseason second team. And then we've got a defensive tackle, Juan Moore, who is not even going to be playing that much. Again, sadly, Afa Gash doesn't make it as the middle linebacker. That's a little bit disappointing. No corners, no safeties, no surprises there. No kicker, but a punter. Clement Brown makes it here onto this list. And that's all the preseason Americans. There is no freshman list. That's fine with me. Now, we are ranked number 7 as of right now, and that is a little bit high. I do not feel like we're going to make the playoffs this year. We have a very much worsened O-line. We have downgrades at left tackle, left guard, and center, even though we did have some good offseason boosts for guards and centers. The left tackle spot is just a massive weakness now, compared to last year, obviously, but yeah. So I do not think we're gonna have an upgraded offense from last year. But of course, if you enjoyed this video, I would appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. With that O-line, we're gonna face a lot of pressure, I think, and we have a quarterback that can't run. So that's gonna be an automatic weakness. That is a bad combination, but I do not want to put Abdul Rubin in there. He's just not ready. He does not have the accuracies. It's not even close. For the running game, I think we're going to be fine. It's probably going to be like last year. We're not going to run a lot, but if we do, it's going to be functional. The receivers, I think it's a little bit of a downgrade compared to last year, but it's an upgrade in speed. So I hope the speed is going to make up for the overall points we lost against last year. And for the defense, we're going to have a worse defensive end group, but a better defensive tackle group, so that's good. That's going to be offsetting. I think we're going to have upgrades at every linebacker spot. I think every linebacker that we're going to play this year is better than every linebacker we played last year. And at corner, we're going to have a downgrade. Nobody's going to be as good as Sergio Gonzalez. And at safety, it's going to be the same because nobody upgraded. We didn't lose anybody, but nobody had a good offseason with a lot of dev. So that's how I feel like the team is doing. I think we're gonna be fine. That's it for this episode. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe for more Maui Dynasty. See you next episode. Until then, have a great day.